Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Ha Rakakwadash Ma'amath. Double honors to the apostles of Great Millstone and the elders. Double honors to my elder as well, Aharawan, Mayasha Allah, of the Lions Den Camp. And salutations to the fellow Akim, our wife and children that believe in truth and sincerity. It's your brother Atanyala back to another lesson, and Yaharatazad's edifying. And pretty much just was meditating, on how you have some individuals and some camps that preach for recognition and vainglory. All right, which ultimately, if you're a true prophet of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, you're not doing it for any recognition or any vainglory. All right, again, you're an unprofitable servant. Um, you have what the prophets for profit, as in for financial gain, right? With a 501c3 charter, like these false, fake Hebrew Israelite camps, like the IUICs, the ISUPKs, the GOCCs, the Sakaris, right? The prophets for profit, so to speak. Profit as in what? Proceeds, um, lucre, right? Because they're about their lucre, and that's why they got their license to commit sin, as it states in the book of First Maccabees. One of those licenses being the 501c3 charter, which was created by Lyndon B. Johnson, I believe, as a gag order for the churches, all right, for you to be not able to speak the truth freely, all right? So, that's why they want a specific taxation status under Caesar, all right, because they are their father, the devil, all right. But then you have what? The prophets for non-profit, the true prophets, the prophets that preach out of truth and sincerity, all right. The organization of the Most High, that is, all right, the sheepfold, hoping to be exempt through the Lord, man, hoping to be exempt through Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai at the end all be all right. So, the true prophets, and then you have the false prophets, that's out here for profit, you know, um, the true camps and the true prophets, all right, the true individuals, all right, they ultimately fear the Lord and do the will of the Lord with fear, all right. The false camps and individuals, they don't do the will of the Lord with fear, all right. And that's why you see the certain groups with their pages, and they go to certain events and teach the word. They do it for popularity. It's a basketball event like All-Star Weekend, Sakari, IUIC, ISUPK, they're there. All right, the Kyrie Irvings, the nigga lights that's in the industry and in the the celebrity and rubbing shoulders with the fake Jews, sworn into secrecy into these secret societies when they uh do their little shit show and dabble with the truth. All right, they show up and pop out for them. All right, but it's all to be seen of men. All right, all for vainglory. Ultimately, you have individuals who want to be a prophet so they can be admired. Their ego can be stroked. You know, and if they get enough for people, they'll make merchandise of them. And birds of a feather flock together. But one of the scriptures I want to start off with is the book of Galatians, chapter 5, and I'll start at verse 24. And they that are Yahweh Shai Mashiachs, right, have crucified the flesh with the afflictions and lusts, right? So those who are truly of the Lord's sheepfold, they have crucified the flesh with afflictions and lusts. They have an understanding of what the flesh does and what the spirit does, how the spirit trumps the flesh. It's like the Joker card in the deck. If people played spades and you played with the jokers, they trump everything. It's like a curveball in the game. All right. But when you dwell in the spirit, you can beat the flesh, because the flesh is what? The chains of darkness. What causes you to sin, what causes you to go off, what causes you to have the mindset of the world, to have the fleshly, mindset and the way of thinking. All right. The westernized mindset and the way of thinking, and not the way of thinking of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. All right. Because Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai is a spirit. You must worship him in what? Spirit and in truth, as the scriptures say. Verse 25, if we live in the spirit, let us also walk in the spirit. Let us not be serious of vainglory, provoking one another, envying one another, right? Envy, strife, those are things of those are things and traits of the wicked, man, 2/3. All right. But ultimately, this is how the Lord perfectly got it set up, the way he does, to where teaching and doing the will of the Lord in truth and sincerity, you're made a spectacle, you know. This is not a fad, because if it was a fad, everyone will want to do it for whatever purpose they'll be doing it for, outside of doing it and using it for what it's for to begin with, which is the Lord's purpose, the Lord's will, to show that He is, for the world to know that He is and what He's coming to establish by way of His Son, Yahweh Shai, who the world he calls JC. All right. This is the book of Luke, chapter 6, and verse 22. Blessed are ye when men shall hate you, and when they shall separate you from their company, and shall reproach you, and cast out your name as evil for the Son of Man's sake, right? Blessed when men throw you off and cast you off, man, because you're not like them. Because the Lord is not dealing with the majority. He's dealing with the minority, man, that seldom few, that cluster of the grapes. All right, he's gonna let the multitude that were born in vain perish, man. Real soon. All right. So again, it's the perfect way of how the Lord got things set up to where, if this thing was a fad, and we go get let's see, a fad, let's get that definition. A fad meaning, all right, an intense and widely shared enthusiasm for something, right? This ain't no intense and widely shared enthusiasm to the world, all right, in the oikumene sense, but in the cosmos sense, to those seldom few who heard this word and have taken heed, all right, it's enthusiastic to them, but it's not to the majority, man, to the world, all right, because again, if it was, everybody would do it. All right, then you have more individuals in this thing, all right, in this truth of ours, so called, like the apostles like to say, all right, in this thing of ours, where they would be doing it for vainglory, recognition, for clout. All right, this is the book of Matthew, chapter 23, and verse 1. Then spake Yahushua to the multitude and to his disciples, saying, the scribes and the Pharisees sit in Moses' seat. All therefore whatsoever they bid you observe, that observe and do, but do not ye after their works, for they say and do not. Right, listen to them, but don't follow after them, man, in works, because they works is they're hypocritical. All right, they say one thing and do the other. They preach law, and they don't keep any of the laws. All right, they're being sacrilegious. They're being a hypocrite. Verse 4, for they bind heavy burdens and grievous to be borne, right? Making the people heavy Latin with the whole doctrine that they teach of law, acting as if they high and mighty, cleaning the outside of the cup, but inside they ravening wolves, man. They're worse than those who they're teaching and trying to bring out of the world, man. You know, Trying to bring them right back into a harlot house and again, subvert whole houses. And lay them on men's shoulders, but they themselves will not move them with one of their fingers, right? They won't even move them with one of their fingers. Again, like the scriptures say, and this is Ezekiel chapter 13 and verse 5. Ye have not gone up into the gaps, neither made up the hedge for the house of Israel to stand in the battle in the day of the Lord, right? Because now all hell's getting ready to break loose. June, ain't no microchip went very well. This June, shit is getting ready to be implemented. This very well could be the year where all prophecy is fulfilled. All right, pertaining to the MOTB, Revelations 13 and 15. All right, all hell is getting ready to break loose because what the collapse of the dollar, the collapse of the economy, um, and that's what before us right now. That's what's in the air, the wars and rumors of wars, but mainly here in America, just the divide and the division. All right, and we see them trying to entice the people. All right, and bring them to what chaos, the order out of chaos, the Hegelian dialect. You know, they're trying to bring that pressure upon the people so it can ultimately bust the pipe. All right, so they can come and fix it. You know, so hey, these false prophets and these certain individuals and these fake Hebrew Israelite camps, they're not out here to really save a soul, to really each one teach one. You know, to really bring a true believer, a true sincere believer into the sheepfold, man, with the hopes of saving one someone else, man, and with the same hope of saving themselves, man. You know, ultimately the main goal is to get the hell up out of here. You know, but hey, certain individuals is not out here for that point. You know, they're not out there for that reason. All right, and mainly these ABCD camps. All right, like the ISUPKs, GOCCs, the IUICs. You know, the Sakaris. You know, they're out there for vainglory and recognition. You know, if Yahweh Shah was on the scene, they'll be overshadowing him. This is Matthew chapter 23 and verse 5. But all their works they do for to be seen of men. They make broad their phylacteries and enlarge the borders of their garments, right? They have the nice garments, the flashy garments too. You know, they buy up all the fringes. You go to your local Joann's, your local Walmart, you can't find any fringes, at least the good ones, the decent ones that last a decent while. But forget about purple and gold. IUIC got all that. The royalty looking colors. They made it already in their eyes, right? When the scriptures say what prophesy in sackcloth, it's just things like that to where what birds of a feather flock together, where it highlights individuals to who they are through the spirit. If they're of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shah, or they're of their self, all right, of vainglory, of they want recognition. This is Matthew 23 and 6. And love the uttermost rooms and feasts and the chief seats in the synagogues, right? They have they Passover is not a solemn assembly, so to speak, man. Just like just the recent weeks, all right, and atmosphere that we're in right now, just being the spirit. All right, you have the Sakaris. They had their Passover, I believe, a year or two ago at a strip club. All right, things like that. Having big Passovers and inviting any and everybody, knowing that you're not keeping it the right way. You're not keeping it as a solemn assembly, that you're 9 times out of 10, 10 times out of 10, they're seasoning their lamb. They sitting it down, they're eating it in lavishness, amongst conversations and chilling. They're not eating in haste, you know, so on and so forth. And greetings in the markets, and to be called of men, Rabbi, Rabbi, and be not ye called Rabbi, for one is your master, even Yahweh Shah Mashiach, and all ye are brethren, right? And he's the head chief cornerstone, man. When he was on the scene, he washed the apostles' feet, man. You know, just the meekness in the chief cornerstone himself. All right, that's what we have to portray. When the Lord has to see His Son. All right, Yahweh Shai in us, man. Or we're not worthy. Verse 9, and call no man your father upon the earth, for one is your father, which is in your heaven. Right. And we know Abba, out of one, the Lord Himself, He's our heavenly Father, but we have spiritual fathers as well that guide us and stir us in the right direction. All right. Just neither be ye called masters, for one is your master, even Yahweh Shah Mashiach. But he that is greatest among you shall be your servant, right? You know, just going back to my last lesson on how what the first shall be last and the last shall be first. And whatsoever shall exalt himself shall be abased, and he that shall humble himself shall be exalted, man, right? Because ultimately the Lord only deal with those of a meek and a contrite spirit, man, the meek and the lowly, man. Those who high and mighty in pride is ultimately going to be destroyed, all right? Pride cometh before destruction. This is the book of Matthew, chapter 6, and I'll start at verse 1. Take heed that ye do not your alms before men to be seen of them. Otherwise, ye have no reward of your Father which is in heaven. Right. That's why they go out and teach at these little. They go out and teach in the hood. You know, they want the hood hoes. You know, they want the niggerdom. They want that energy. You know, that's where they relish in. They relish in that energy. They relish in that space. You know, that's what feeds them. That's what drives them. Right. You know, so ultimately what they try to do, what their arms in front of men, being seen of men. Why? Because it's all about recognition and vainglory to these certain individuals. You know, they'll pop up at a nigger event, you know, and teach there, and they have nothing. It's like, why are you teaching there? You know, but it's all for the thrill, the shock factor, the vainglory. Verse 2, therefore, when thou doest thine alms, do not sound a trumpet before thee, as the hypocrites do in the synagogues and in the streets, that they may have glory of men. Right. And this is ultimately going into what? When giving alms, when doing things, don't do it in the sight of men out in the open, just so someone can say, hey, that's a good person, or hey, he's a giver. You know, the scriptures speak on what? Watch those gift givers. All right. Again, a person don't really actually know what they do until they do it. All right. Proverbs 20 and 24. Man's goings are of the Lord. All right. How could a man understand his own way? You know, after you have done something, you sit back and you really dwell with your subconscious and understand why you really did it spiritually. You know, it's the Lord that make a person or individual do a particular thing. You know, so when an individual was to give alms or give, all right, but they're doing it out in the open, they're doing it for vainglory, so to speak, or they're doing it for recognition, they're gonna do it in a way that it's gonna be seen. All right, so everybody can see it. You know, it's not gonna be done in secret. You know, so the Lord can bless thee openly, as the scriptures say. Verse 3. But when thou doest alms, let not thyself hand know let not thy left hand, Salakia, know what thy right hand doeth, that thy alms may be in secret, and thy Father which seeth in secret himself shall reward thee openly. You know, just being the point. All right. So when entering this truth, you have to weigh the cost and understand what the will of the Lord is. You know, just stirring back more so to the point. You know, this is Luke 17 and verse 10. So likewise ye, when ye shall have done all those things which are commanded you, say we are unprofitable servants. We have done that which is our duty to do, right? We have done which is our duty to do, you know. Again, unprofitable servants. We're here to usher in Yahweh Shai and his kingdom and the oncoming judgment of this sinful kingdom, man. You know, with the hopes that we will be saved out of it, man. You know, being that the Lord has blessed us to understand this truth and we receive this truth, and our eyes are open, and our ears are open to hear, our eyes are open to see, and we've been blessed to be able to receive this truth, to give it to someone else to help seal and usher in Yahweh Shai's kingdom, man. You know, we can be partakers and we can be a part of his salvation, man. You know, we can be exempt from the destruction. You know, so just going back into a couple years back, just only about 5 years back, just 5.5 maybe years back, into the truth. The apostles and elders prompted us to do a video in regards to what led us into this truth. You know, mine was more so on the lines of the fear of the Lord brought me in this truth. You know, outside of him dealing and even opening his eyes, opening my eyes for me to see. You know, it's a blessing for you to not even, hey, for you can still be in a congregation of the dead, man, like the typical Negro in America, right? So this is the book of Philippians, chapter 2 and verse 3. Let nothing be done through strife or vainglory, but in lowliness of mind, let each esteem other better than themselves, man, right? You know, you want to pat the next brother on his back more than you get a rightful or goodful a good and godly saying towards you. You know, you want to give that two times more to the next brother. You know, and how you learn off him. You know, because we all fruit of each other at the end of the day. You know, it's the book of Second Timothy. And I'll start wrapping it up. Chapter 2 and verse 5. And if a man also strive for masteries, yet is he not crowned except he strive lawfully, right? We got to strive lawfully, you know, just being the point. This is First Corinthians 4 and 9. For I think that Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai has set forth us, the apostles, last, as it were appointed to death. For we are made a spectacle unto the world, and to angels, and to men, right? You know, this ain't no, this not a fad. You know, this not no, you know, even though the Lord said He's gonna bring fame, all right, that's at the end. That's when the people gonna know that a prophet have been among them. But right now, it's not a popularity thing to teach and talk about the Lord, you know, in this wicked ass society, in this wicked kingdom. But hey, we do. You know, that's why we consider ourselves to be the hopeful elect, man. Because if we don't claim it and we don't put it on, who else is, man? Who else is talking about the Lord in these times? You know, times of dreadful times, man. Times of destruction, man. But while the world think, hey, especially here in America, they think that they're in good case. They think they're in the spirit of mirth. You know, we got the Da Vinci Code, so to speak. You know. So again, we've been made spectacle unto the world, and to angels, and to men. This is not a popularity thing, but at the end, it's going to be what the people despise and what they should have never despised. Man, it's gonna go down in history. You know, and ultimately, you want to be on the right side of history. This is Romans chapter 12 and 1. I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushai, that you present your bodies a living sacrifice, wholly acceptable unto Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushai, which is your reasonable service, man, right? It's your reasonable service, you know, quote unquote, i.e., the least you could do, because he laid his life down being a sacrificial lamb for you. This is Matthew chapter 10 and verse 8. Heal the sick, cleanse the lepers, raise the dead, cast out devils. Freely ye have received, freely give, right? And that's ultimately what we've been sent here to do. All right, if you consider yourself a angel, a messenger, all right, apostle, sent out, all right, a prophet, all right, just ultimately, you're here to cast off these philosophies and these ailments off our people spiritually with the washing of the word, man, with the cleansing of this word, this truth. All right, so what we're here to heal the sick, cleanse the lepers, and raise the dead, man. Ezekiel 37, as we've been raised from the dead, from the valley of the dry bones. We was once dry bones, but we've got the flesh upon us. We got the sinews, man, the muscles upon us. And ultimately we have the breath. All right. But hey, when it comes to these fake Hebrew Israelite camps and some of these individuals, they have the sinews, all right, they have the flesh, they may look to par, but they don't have the breath. Freely ye have received, freely give. Provide neither gold nor silver nor brass in your purses. Freely receive, freely give, man. As we freely got woken up to this truth and enlightened, we want to enlighten someone else. That's in that same fashion. We don't want their money. We don't want them to buy an Israelite startup kit. We don't want them to buy a garment. You know, we just want them to do the work and the will of the Lord, man. May it be more laborers that enter the harvest, man. Roughly paraphrasing, so we can get the hell up out of here. We don't want friends, unless you friends of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, you know, correctly, the right way, and not just claiming to be. Verse 10, nor scrip of your journey, neither two coats, neither shoes, nor yet staves, for the workman is worthy of his meat, right? The workman is worthy of his meat, man. You know, so understand, hey, when the Lord blessed our eyes for us to see and understand this truth, hey, we do it freely, man. Neither do we work and expect something from it, financially or carnally from it, but hope that the Lord honors our works and provides that protection that He promised us, man. And the promises, man, the new bodies, man, the covenant, the kingdom, man, the brooks and honey, the things that we need, and ultimately to keep us unto salvation, being the point. But I'll wrap it up with the book of First Corinthians, chapter 9 and verse 16, and Yahweh Tazah, this lesson was edifying. For though I preach the gospel, I have nothing to glory of, for necessity is laid upon me. Yet woe is unto me if I preach not the gospel. For if I do this thing willingly, I have a reward. But if against my will, a dispensation of the gospel is committed unto me, right? So you want to do this thing willingly and have fun with it, man, knowing that the Lord is dealing with you, but as well, rejoice, but with fear and trembling, man, roughly paraphrasing, knowing that the Lord could take it away from you, man. So we pray what Psalms 51, take not thy spirit away from me, you know, and we do the work with the fear of the Lord, man, being a point, and not for recognition and vainglory. And Shalom, Mahabatah, and DTA until the next one.